Hey everybody, welcome to our 13th tutorial in our series on developing mobile applications for behavioral scientists. We're picking up from where we were in our last tutorial, and we had been putting together what we got there. We were putting together the basic interface that we would need to show how you could use things like a grid layout to map the elements you want to put on a screen in an organized and meaningful way. We were able to put in a title-ish type of label up top that spanned a couple columns. We were able to put a more central type of label. Oops. Let's set this as our startup project. And we also added a button at the bottom of the screen that really didn't have any functionality yet. It was just positioned in a way to just be at the bottom. Oops. Let's see. All right. We redid this. That doesn't look right. Let's go back to where we were. Oh goodness. Our grid label moved. Yeah. Alright. For some reason, in the last tutorial, I moved my things around. So now that it's all back in that grid, it should look to just about the same way it did for you guys. Not yet. Alright. Yeah, I should have put the row to be number 1 there. Playing a little bit of catch up with you guys. We should be just about where we were last time. Alright, we're just going to scoot. Yeah, we want to make sure that this top title should be in the first row, the first column, should span 3. This next label should be in the second row, index of 1, and in the second column, index of 1. Alright. And this button, we want to tweak the vertical options, and let's say just stick it in the center. And for the horizontal options, we'll say just stick it in the center. Actually, no, let's say stick it in the center and expand. That way it'll stick it in the center, and if it has room in that little grid space, it'll grow a little bit so it's not so scrunched in. Let's see what we got. Well, maybe we don't want to center it. Let's tell forms to horizontally just fill what you got and expand the button to meet that size. Yeah, that looks more like a proper button. Alright, before we add a click event, I'm going to get rid of these colors. It's like mind grain inducing contrast, like a 1980s web page. Alright. Just make sure we have those colors sorted. Yeah. It's almost looking like it's closer to a proper application. Alright, let's close that. I'm going to collapse these areas since we're done with them for now. We can uncollapse them with these plus and minuses. Now, in C# and in working with XAML files, it is best practice, and you're encouraged to separate the logic of your source code. You want to separate your views, which is largely this XAML file, the marking up and display of things. You want to keep that separate from the behavior of your controllers, things in the background that are being computed and processed. You want to keep those separate. You want to keep that separate from like your data or your databases. You want to keep all those things kind of apart from each other. In C#, you could define some of the behavior and do some of the computing in the view, which isn't. It's not bad. It's not preferred since it doesn't clearly separate things as well. But for simple things, sometimes it's worth the deviation to do something very, very quick and dirty. So that's what we're going to do here. So instead of defining a view model and all that stuff, we are just going to go into our button and we're going to say if clicked, and you'll see this little lightning bolt. We'll double click and let's click on new event handler. And it's going to say clicked equals this. And what this is actually a method. And we'll see that it opened up this main page XAML file. So if you don't remember, this is our main page with our, I don't know why it's saying that. This is our main page. It's open right here. In the file behind it, there's now this new method of button clicks. And what this does is whenever this view, when you put together this view, whenever this is clicked, it's going to fire off this method. And what I'm going to do is, for now, I'm going to do something where I'm going to name this one label. Actually, I'm going to name everything. So let's say smaller, let's say subtitle label. This top, let's say main title label. If you're wondering where this X is coming from, it's based on up here. It's name spacing based on how the rules for XAML works. This X is really what you're referencing down here. And I'll show you why that's relevant in a sec. I'm going to give the button a name. Let's say X name is my button. Now, what this is going to do is when we rebuild this, behind the scenes, Visual Studio is going to make it so that if we name these elements here, we're going to be able to interact with them in this partial class back here. Because even if we fire this event when we click that button, it's not going to do a whole lot because there's nothing written here. But what we can do is say we want to change the subtitle label. We can go back here, and since this is part of the same class, we could say, all right, for the subtitle label, why don't we change that text to button magic? I have no idea. Still a couple extra exclamation points in there for good measure. So what this means is we've named everything in here so that when we go to tell the C# file what to interact with, everything's got a name. So in this method, in this file, we've said that for this button named my button, if it's clicked, fire this event that's in the code behind. back here. And in this method, this event, once this is clicked, we're going to update the text for that label, the one in the middle, to say button magic. So let's send that to our emulator and see what we got. Alright, so our labels are here, and they say just like normal, and the same with the center one. So I'm going to click this button, and I'm going to click it again, but we see that the middle one changed to say button magic. And that makes sense, because in the view, in the XAML file, we said that if this thing gets clicked, fire this method right here. And in this method, we've said take this label here and make that text say button magic. So we're going to end on that today. In our next tutorials, or in our next single tutorial, we're going to do a little bit more work in this codebehind file to show just what you can do in the codebehind by working with a couple different functions and values we can store back there. So until then, stay tuned to the website, subscribe to the channel, and see you next time.